So let's start with you, government spokesman, on the update. No, since we have cleared the issue of the law.
You see, what's happening in Parliament is similar to what we're talking about with the NEMA and people who encroach on the wetland. I think we are at that stage where members of Parliament take themselves, or some of them take themselves as the institution. And so you can see impunity spreading. Members of Parliament do things that are really weird and somehow expect that they will not be taken on. You can hear how they speak, especially when they're in the House, not just the floor, but so when the Constitution gave Parliament mandate to do oversight, I think there are people who have taken that they can do that oversight for self-enrichment. And so many things have been taking place there. So Honorable Ssemujju and I were parliamentary reporters. I was a journalist there for a long, long time. And even at that time, members of Parliament, particularly in the committees, were abusing their authority in the committees. They would harass.
So it's historical.
It is historical, except now it has kind of gotten out of hand, and so leads us to where we are. That members of Parliament, some members of Parliament, are being accused of designing plans to steal money. In this particular case, the two cases, the ones who use the budget harassing accounting officers. Of course, accounting officers, many of them are complicit. They work with them. Not just accounting officers, but general civil servants who work with them because they know how money is hidden. And usually when you hide, and I told you my case, where a chairperson in the previous Parliament asked me to add 6 billion.
6 billion?
Yes, on my vote, so that we can share. Then I said, but how will I withdraw?
But you are not the accounting.
And I'm not the director accounting officer. Yes. No, I get subvention, but my accounting officer is a permanent secretary. I said, but how will I go to my PS and say there's this 6 billion for the following reasons? Maybe we can share. How will it happen? So anyway, so that's one case. Then this one where people came up. First of all, they're the ones who generated it. Our constituencies are asking you dissolved cooperative societies. Government need to compensate. So they work backwards. In some cases, they actually create fictitious cooperative societies. They generate names, lists of names of members of that cooperative society, and then they come. They say, work with the Minister of Trade. They say, this cooperative society is in my constituency. They are bothering me. So they build. How much are they demanding? 5 billion. They go backwards to try to verify documents. They go to banks and so on and so forth. So that's the case of the Michael Mawanda MP Igara East, I think. Akamba Paul and Mudimi. And Mudimi had that problem of land in the Bulambuli there with somebody who's now a minister, where the people of landslides were settled. And actually it's a wetland, by the way. Where this boy settled in the Bulambuli there is a wetland. You can go and check. So anyway, so they make fictitious. Sometimes it is the cooperative society actually exists and has some claim against the government, but they bloat the claim. In one case, I'm told one of these MPs made a claim, and you even ask, why would the government pay an MP? So with the lawyers, the lawyers in this town are in trouble over this money. By the way, the lawyers, the bankers, this MP gets 2 billion. He goes to this cooperative society and he pays only 50 million. So he keeps 1.950 billion to himself. Ooh. Yes, this is the accusation. For example,
how much?
This is accusation against Michael Mawanda. He was given 2 billion for a cooperative society. He goes to the cooperative society and gives them 50 million. So he keeps 1,950,000. That's the allegation. in some cases, the cooperative societies actually don't exist. So this is the accusation. So far on this one, we have 3 MPs
who have been named.
I think they were charged yesterday. And remanded. And I'm told
this is in addition to the other ones.
The other ones of the extortion of the Uganda Human Rights Commission person. So you can even see Wangari is a former deputy IGG. How foolish are these MPs that you go to a former, immediate former, by the way, IGG, and say, let's do this, give us part of your budget, 20%. I mean, it means either they didn't know her profile, and that goes to what Ssemujju and Abudu usually say, that some of them are tomato growers. Now, if you look at them, it is not easy. I don't think it is easy for the common, apart from their constituencies, that you can pinpoint for the Ugandans here who Akamba is. I don't think he's hard on the floor of Parliament. So he's busy in these things. It is amazing. It is amazing that these things are happening, but I think they are taking.
Are there more MPs that should worry?
From what we hear, there are many MPs. I think there are 35 in the case of the cooperative, including big names from the opposition. I think
so far it has been an NRM thing.
I think it's better that we first tackle the NRM, so that by the time they reach the opposition, they don't cry foul. They don't cry foul, because if we had decided to do the opposition, they would have said it is politics. They are members of the opposition, very loud ones, by the way, from Buganda here, very loud ones. West Mengo, East Mengo.
You have said them.
Yes.
Honorable Ssemujju, more members should worry. But you know, when an MP takes all that amount of money, it is incredible. How do you take it out?
How much?
1.9 something billion.
But some MPs are rich. Maybe they are billionaires. You see, the 2 specific cases for which my colleagues have been arrested. One was the
requesting for 20% of the budget.
And then the one of Cooperative, even Parliament itself has done an investigation. The Committee on Trade and Tourism under the Honorable Mpaka. And the MPs, or some of the MPs, including the ones that are arrested, knew even from the parliamentary inquiry that there was a problem. And for me, first of all, this whole idea of compensation, I think it has been abused everywhere it has happened. From Luwero war claimants, I was in yes, I was in Lango, I was in Teso, where we are still compensating. The numbers, I don't know. They don't end. You finish one group, another group emerges. Because government created a window that there will be money to be given to people who lost the property, even if you didn't lose. Then they will go through a verification. People who are verifying can add you, or if you are claiming 10 cows, they can make them 50. Because, like the case of
it's just a question of adding you.
Yeah, I don't want to sound inhuman, but I think if you're a government that has gone to war to remove a government, you cannot walk backward that you are compensating people who lost property during the war. Why? You fought a war and it ended. People died. Let life start from there. But 40 years later, we are still compensating Luwero, including people who were born 10 years when Museveni is in power. They are veterans. Veterans of Luwero, they have grabbed land here. They are. So the compensation, I think, was just a window to transfer some money to some beneficiaries, either in exchange for support. So that's where these MPs get into trouble, or whoever has gotten into trouble. I sit on the budget committee. First, the Minister of Finance sometimes has been making provisions available without naming the beneficiary. They put there 30 billion towards the compensation for cooperative, and then those who are in the know will go around the country hunting down cooperatives. Where they existed or not, I don't know. And between the government system, either finance and attorney general, then they will give them clearance, and then money begins moving. So for me, I think all these compensations are things that were not well designed, but I think that I will be reluctant to undertake. But Mr. Museveni has been so happy to do so, because maybe he knew what I don't know when they were fighting. First of all, they are the ones who were stealing coffee, mainly from Cooperative Society and other items. For example, in Masaka, when they took over the area in Masaka, I think the Honorable Jira Descender and the Mass, we are the ones helping them to sell coffee for the cooperative. They went to stores and picked it. They should have paid as individuals. We are paying Congo over 1 trillion shilling for gold and timber stolen when we are fighting there. So there, this compensation is a window, and they should never have undertaken it, but they did. So and
Ssemujju, there's a family that we've been compensating for 40 years.
Yeah, so
it never goes away.
People will keep emerging. I mean, if they say this money is available.
So you're saying these people might be accused of eating compensation monies?
The MPs. Yes, that's the accusation. Right. That money was meant to have gone to the cooperatives, but the cooperatives received sometimes less than 1%. But they are the ones who are accused of having processed the money with the lawyers, and then the money remained in Kampala. So the cooperatives, wherever they exist, some of they are dead. Some of the people who are supposed to have been the beneficiary are dead. But like as usual, you correct some old men to claim that Muranda Cooperative Society. But also specifically on the issue of the budget. You see, in the argument of MPs accused of soliciting money, there are two things that the public will need to understand. First, some of the reallocation of money in Parliament is justifiable. Government entities come to Parliament with what they call unfunded priority. Some of them are really priority. They come without medicine, without this and that, and the budget committee will do that. But what people go to do after, I think every individual can pay for his party in it. But you cannot stop Parliament where agencies appear with lists of unfunded. For me, I have always asked agencies when they appear, a minister, you are part of cabinet, you have brought a budget before Parliament, your cabinet and President Museveni, who chairs it, have not given you money. Why do you cry before me? See, do you first go back to cabinet and Museveni and cry, and the money is added there? So this financial year, this budget that we have just finished, the unfunded priority totaled to 100 trillion. 100 trillion.
Unfunded.
So, unfunded, brought to Parliament by accounting officers, by ministers. And each minister, I don't know how many times.
If your budget is 58 trillion, how can you come with 100 trillion unfunded? It means you are unserious as a minister, as an accounting officer.
So the process eventually, I agree with you. The process sometimes can provide opportunities for individuals to abuse it.
Abuse, okay. Because
if I am a president, this is my budget. How can my minister go to Parliament to begin pleading with the MPs as if the work you are doing is personal? That please, this is very critical, but they have provided no money. Am I the one providing money?
Senior lawyer Abdul here. Is it true?
Yes.
That the lawyer of Mawanda said the clouds outside are very dark, and we fear it might rain on our clients once granted bail, and and it is safer for my client to be in prison. So
question for bail.
Yeah, he was just being a good poet.
Yes.
And
The magistrate.
The point he was making is that even if I were to apply for bail and it is granted, some other thing will happen outside the outside here. So he would rather advise his client to stay where he was. But having said that, of course, I'm aware and that there is this sub judice rule. So I'll talk a little bit calculatively. One, this whole process was kicked off in Parliament. And that is last year. The Mpaka committee investigated this matter thoroughly. And what I find people are raising now like it's something new, I just said they are not following. There is a report by Parliament which details exactly what went wrong. And when that matter came to the floor, the presiding officer said, no, the way I read this report, it will not be very useful for us as a house to debate it. I refer to police for further management. And this 2023, in December. And when you read that report, the details are in there. Very detailed. Case per case, cooperative per cooperative. The allegation is that money had been appropriated for that purpose and indeed released by Minister of Finance to cooperative societies all over the country. However, the managers of those cooperative societies, together with some leaders, when that money was released, and the lawyers who were handling those particular cooperative claims sat and did not remit those monies to the beneficiaries or the owners of those cooperative society. That is basically the case. And there are quite a number of cases, those which are already in court and those which may come up, and so on. So that is what happened. But it shows you, to me, no leader will get the money except when the one authorized to release that money is a part of it. Because where will this MP get that money except when there is somebody who signs that check?
It's a racket.
Yes. And to me, as the present cases go on, we would like to see who are those people who are authorized to safeguard that money, first of all. Because many of those leaders were actually not signatories.
Either of the cooperative?
Yes. But somehow there was something which was done in between. So it's a little bit entangled, and I'm just waiting to see those who are really authorizing, those who are signing the checks. And then one thing, Oscar, money can be traced. That's money coming from a government system.
Follow the money.
Coming from a government system, it can be checked and so on. But these are all allegations, as they say. Let's wait for the court process to end.
Lydia, is there I know Mbale has always been a cooperative city. Are we talking about corruption? Are we talking about greed? When OO says it has gone out of, OO with Parliament, he always adds in his own spin. So you should have seen his smile at the beginning when he was talking about
exactly what he has said is what he means. That you add in.
Well, what we are reading is, I think, diversion of money to what was not appropriated to.
Shocking diversion or business as usual?
Because if money has been appropriated for a particular intention and then the end state is not achieved, that's what we are seeing. There is some diversion. It doesn't matter the amount, but the principle. That money was meant to go to Oscar, and then it didn't reach Oscar. It now ended up with Katuntu. So that's what is being...
Maybe use other examples and no Oscar.
So that it's more direct. That's what we are seeing. But the beginning, the beginning looks like it was a good intention, but along the way there was a diversion, and that's what is being now handled. I mean, so not different from Gavi funds. You remember Gavi, the issue of Gavi funds, the same story. Money was meant for money was meant for.
Were actually fictitious.
Some of it.
Some of them.
So even the intentions may have been cooked.
Yeah. It is about the diversion of money. There's an element of abuse of office, because if money is coming from a government entity, somebody is processing it. It means that the person in that office is also abusing the office by virtue of their being the authority that releases money. And then also the end person, there is maybe a cartel, a cabal. So we that's what we are witnessing, and we hope that the government processes will be able to do justice and taxpayers' money is not put to waste.
Hope, leader. You hope positively. You see this happening?
I hope, because many times there's this excitement that there's going to be justice, or taxpayers' money will not be put to abuse, and then somehow along the way it does not meet people's expectations. You know, courts of law are a different matter. Just a small document or a technicality can get somebody off the hook when the reality is that money was lost. Then there may be a technicality, maybe lack of proper evidence.
Well, the case
courts of law is a different game matter altogether, because our laws are clear. Somebody is not guilty until proven so.
Namfi? For once you're speechless?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Several times I get speechless. Because sometimes you have to wonder who is fooling who. Like when I listen to government officials talk, and parliamentarians and government and the president, I keep wondering who is fooling who. Because number one, this isn't new. This has been going on for the last 20-30 years. So we are here now pretending that there's a whole new problem, and we are finding whole new solutions, and that anything is going to be different. Oscar, it will not. There is a reason why Katolu Bwama, when elected as MP, he actually, when he was campaigning, he kept on saying, Nange mundekenge ndieko. He didn't hide it. And actually, it is resting in peace. These were his words. And actually, his constituents gave him a vote on that particular mandate, saying, agende na yali. So don't even fool Ugandans that we think these MPs are there to serve. They even sometimes they even say Abdu aluddeyo mu parliament aliddeko ekimala tuweeyo omulala. So we all know that the whole parliament, even these MPs go into that, they get into massive debt to get into parliament, knowing, because they know the salary is not going to pay that debt. They know what is going to pay that debt, the deals that they make in the corridors. I worked on a case of one of those cooperative unions that is compensated. And of course, for confidentiality reasons, I can't tell you where, but it's from the East. And let me tell you, Oscar, a government official lent, using Chinese money lender, lent this cooperative union money. The cooperative union at an interest rate of, I think it was 31-32%. Of course, the cooperative union. Yes. The cooperative union failed to pay. And then this government official comes and this particular Chinese and their ring, including the government officials, start taking over the cooperative union's assets one by one. So of course the cooperative union and their leader, who was also colluding with all this, went to government for a bailout. Of course then government bailed out this cooperative union and guess who ate all the money from the cooperative union? So I come in as a tax consultant because of course you're a got wind of it, and they were like, well, whatever government gave you takes the form of your income, so we want this money. But at the end of the day, everyone from the head of the cooperative union, the money lender, the government people, the MPs who released the money, everyone was there to eat. And to this date, the union is still, the cooperative union is still a mess. And this was 2009, 2010, 2012, because the case came about 2016 when I was working on it.
So what you're saying is the rot
is deep, is systemic. Let's not pretend that it started with these MPs. And let me tell you, as night follows, they'll walk away with it. Where are the Mabati ones? Last year we pretended we were dealing with the Mabati. We entered their houses. We did this. We pulled off their trousers. Where are they? Nothing is still being, because everyone, including the people dealing with this, are complicit, and without accusing anybody. That is why one can even go to the IGG and start promising them money. Let me tell you, I was dealing with the Land Commission, which was set up to investigate the rot in Land Ministry and Land and do you know how many bribes they were asking for my clients? And this is the Land Commission to deal with corruption. So, Oscar, when you start we fool ourselves when we start arresting these minions and small MPs to create an example and to try and placate the international community and the local community, because that is not where we should start. We have massive problems when it comes to corruption, especially in Parliament. Can we just shut down Parliament for the next 5 years? Maybe we start there, or just reduce them and just reduce the whole, even Ministry of Finance. This is how it's done. Let me tell you, you should see the head budget at the ministry during this time when they are putting things in the budget. That man is like a god. Because you should see the corridors of that ministry. And I've been through them, because my clients usually need priority for the financing. We have limited resources, but if we are taking 2 billion and giving it to one person, or we are buying generators for Anita Mong and expensive cars and giving them free houses, then your resource basket is going to waste. So yes, we have a problem there, but we have more massive problems, and I don't even know where to start, because I just see this as someone's trying to fool others, and then it's a pointless, gimmicky gesture on part of government, and no one is buying it.
Okay.
Nobody.
Let me ask.
Next year it will be forgotten, and thieves will be looting other things.
More than Mabati.
Yes, and then we will still play the same pretend game and arrest a couple of people. I even fear to say moving on, but you sat in that chair. I was talking about was given another 37 billion in compensation just before the last election.
So the
Cooperative Union. Oh, yes.
And maybe the 37.
And that person is not even among the MPs who are being arrested. And no one is asking them where the money is. And like I said, follow the money. This money is not going into people's waste baskets and being channeled through sacks. No, this money is dropping on accounts. So if you pretend that you don't even know, then you also have a problem at the ministry. What is the Auditor General's job?
Okay. Greens Kansime on X, formerly Twitter, says, at long last, hunters are being hunted. Some MPs have been harassing officials in local governments and agencies, and so on. I didn't know that happens. But he had also earlier said that every time we're starting a new government, we have Kisanja against corruption and so on, and here we are. But you sat in that very same chair, OO's chair, and you said, whereas you support Ssemujju's censure petition, it shall not go ahead. Now Ssemujju is feeling that his censure petition is not going ahead. Sabotage. Is it you responsible for the sabotage?
First of all, I said the abuse, the service award that the Mpuugas gave themselves even before completing a term. Because how do you give a foreign service award 5 months into his job, and his job is supposed to be 5 years? What are you thanking him for now? So that one I disagree with, that it shouldn't have happened.
Sorry, I forgot to ask. Did you go to Masaka?
Now
did you go to Masaka?
No, I didn't, because I am not a NOP person. I think that was for NOP. And now I disagree with Ssemujju, because I said, Ssemujju, you have been absent from this parliament. God knows where you have been. You are coming into it just to seek attention. And I told him when we appeared on another show together with the Honorable Ssemujju here. And then I said, Ssemujju, in my view, and many of us in the NRM see him that way, he has been indisciplined. to the NRM. And I said, NRM should not reward him by jumping on his antics.
But how can that be a reward? Someone who's calling out foul.
I'm saying, to be polite, he's not genuine in the things he's pursuing. Like many of those MPs of NRM who have signed that petition, they're not signing because of the 1.7 billion. No. Many of them had applied. Now they think they are sulking. So they are not sincere. 259 MPs of NRM.
For 3 positions.
Applying for 3 positions. Are they serious? Is that serious? Yes. So the ones who are signing, majority of them, in my view, are not sincere, and therefore
you are off the market. People, and then, like 1,000 apply for a single job.
If you
10,000 apply.
If you are ordinary person, yes, but I don't expect that of the MP. Now, I told Ssemujju, I said, I am going to mobilize NRM MPs to defeat your motion. Should you actually achieve 177, which is required to take a matter for debate, I will mobilize so that we are defeated on the actual vote now. So that
how many does he have now?
Well, that's why he's keeping it in his armpit. I think it is embarrassing, the law, and that's why you see he's crying. Oh, you see the sergeant at arms has removed my desk. Blah blah. So I am working to defeat Ssemujju's motion because I think it is not on principle.
Nafi, how do you fight corruption in that case? You know, it's because if someone is a whistleblower, it doesn't matter where they're coming from.
You see, for me, if
someone has taken
OO
up
was
a
telling
petition,
us that I'm defeating it on principle, but he makes a good point, he has a valid fight, then let me sit with NRM. We appoint another person who is not taking advantage and posturing. Who is not being opportunistic to take off to lead the mantle. Then that is a different conversation, which I would like to hear from Ofono. Exactly. So instead of saying Ssemujju is wrong, you see, wrong is wrong. And if you let rot, it's like saying I'm not going to treat my child because that particular child, my wife lied to me the last time about buying for them school things. So the child then dies. No. Because Ssemujju has a valid point. I'm not a huge fan. But you NRM people, give us someone else. Sit in sec if you think he has a valid point, because you've said he does have a valid fight, doesn't he?
But the leadership...
You condemn NRM, what those commissioners did.
The leadership of NRM in Parliament, I said their caucus will sit.
When?
As an NRM, I will wait for the position of my party.
When is it sitting?
I cannot go with the NRM. And this is not the first time I'm doing it. You remember when the Honorable Ssemujju was fighting with the Amuriat in Andala. I said I'm not going to support Honorable Ssemujju. Why? Because he was busy throwing mud at NRM and President Museveni that we are the ones who are we are infecting bad money, dirty money into their politics, failing to deal with the internal issues of FDC.
But you're always here recently telling us about blind following. NRM should stop blind following. NRM should listen to critics. NRM should do the right thing.
I listen to Ssemujju.
But what you're doing there is blind following.
Ssemujju, who are you donating time to of the two?
No, I don't want to donate to any. You see, Oscar,
I've seen you eyeing. I've seen you eyeing.
I told you last time
with these arguments
that the success of this censure is going to depend on the politics, not on the strength of the argument in the motion. And so far, that's what has happened. The people in Noob, almost everybody has got to sign because there is an order to do so. Those who associate with the Pirao, I think they all have been ordered to sign and they have signed.
What is Pirao?
This one of Museveni's son.
Oh, hear you.
Yes, including Mawanda. He also signed before he got arrested.
It was a nickname for a certain section of MPs.
He did, Mawanda signed.
No, he thought that was a cover. to shield him.
So they looking for numbers in Parliament. Many of the MPs don't process their own independent decisions. Many. I remember when you're looking for signatures to call Parliament after the death of the Honorable Nevand, MPs can be funny. I remember Jim Moyes came, he found him with Karang, and he said, I have come to sign. But can I look at the others who have signed? We went to one of the rooms. I was reluctant, but Karanga said the man has come to sign. After that, do you know what Jim did? He said, let me call, he called Kabonera, and he said, let me call my wife. He said, Nasa in injury. And he didn't sign. He said, okay, let me first go and consult the wife. And this is not a film, it's things that happen. One time we went to collect a signature from an MP who was in Mukono. He said, you come. He parked his vehicle along the road and he took off. So many of the MPs don't process their own decisions.
Abdul, the calls I get in the afternoon. Now, Ssemujju has added NAF, and Ssemujju makes me receive all these
so
calls.
they don't process their own independent decision. That's why you see a matter like this, if you're going to sign, I don't think it's a matter that will stay in Parliament for a month, that you are collecting signatures for a whole month. When the MPs are there, they walk into Parliament every day and go away. So while the motion is legitimate, it's provided for under our rules, I think those who have signed, many are not signing because they have taken a decision that I am signing because I want to fight corruption. They are fighting because of politics. Those who are not signing are also doing so, majority because of politics. So that's why it's such cool. But he has done his work. You see, he has kept the matter alive, the matter on TV and radio.
And in Parliament.
Yeah, that in itself puts Parliament on trial. And I guess people can pretend, but things will no longer be done the same way they are done in Parliament. So such cool, whether the NRM Fonopondo want to render him support or not, he has actually keeping this matter over a month in Parliament every day. There are people who fear to come to Parliament. They don't want to sign, but they don't want to be seen that they have not signed. So for him, even if he stops here, I think the work he has done for over a month, he should congratulate himself. But the success will not depend on his mobilization skills or the content of the petition. It will depend. There are NRM MPs who will have to ask almost on every decision, what is Muzei thinking? Hey,
now
Muzei,
they have to ask, what is PLU thinking?
Yeah. Hey, Muzei is happy or not happy. Then that's how they process decisions.
Yeah. Do you agree with Ssemujju that Sechikuba has done the work, whatever happens?
I think he has made his contribution, like he always does. People are asking whether or not the motion or what was it called, a motion? Censure motion will be. Well, so that's not the issue.
Yeah.
Even there are those which succeeded, but what was the outcome? You remember, there are those which picked his signatures in 1 week. The house was full. Then what? Then what? Then what? So I think that
in fact, then what?
Then what? So the 10th Parliament,
Minister Namuganza is still a minister.
You are in the 11th. Yeah, this is the 11th Parliament. You are 529 representing us, and you have put your best foot out there. We are watching, and then you will make your contribution. Others will come to the 12th. Others will leave. But people are watching what your contribution is to the country. So, but what is very clear is that people change even when they are leaders, depending on the situations that are faced with them. Nobody want to put their skin to be eaten. The people play safe. That's the point I want to raise, and you cannot blame them.
Yeah.
Because times have changed. Have you seen what's happening in Kenya?
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I want to give it 5 minutes. At
the current government used to lead riots in the streets, the leaders. Now there are people who are now leading streets, riots in the current, against the current government. You cannot believe that there can be a big riot bigger than what President Ruto used to run. But life is like that. And the biggest challenge that some Jews, maybe you can tell your colleagues to know, is that the 7th Parliament or 8th or 9th you talk about did not have the social media. Things have changed. This social media thing, this is a generation Z. This thing is the Gen Z thing.
They even
if
took
you
a
do
horse.
not watch what you are doing as leaders, the price is on the wall. It's written on the wall. So we have to be very careful.
Thank you, Lydia.
I'm not threatening anybody, but the issue of this revolution of the internet.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's in law. I mean, we all went to school and somehow we learnt about the French Revolution. And people just looked at the opulence of Marie Antoinette. They were counting the pair of shoes she puts on, her wardrobe, and then they had saying that if you cannot afford the bread, why don't you eat cake? Just statements alone, among other things. Because the French Revolution.
Lydia has gone
just
into
opulence
literature
alone
and history.
can cost you.
Opulence and then Marie Antoinette. You can use other examples, but
no, the revolution, the history is before us.
She's a clever.
So
today, that's a valid point.
Today we have
the way, for example, the speaker is flaunting her wealth, the vulgar way in which she dresses up in these dresses of $3,000, $5,000, then parades her house she has built in the village in the last years. That
Ssemujju
alone
said he's not giving
can
you
even
his
the
time.
Kenyan rioters, they are saying instead of increasing taxes, cut back on spending. There is non-essential spending, there is essential spending. So these government officials, when you're squeezing people and squeezing the last cent out of them, then don't parade yourself like Marie Antoinette in a dress of $10,000. This is just common sense.
Abdul, your Sechkubo's lawyer,
but I
previously
didn't finish.
Gango.
Oscar, did I finish?
Yes,
because
we are out of time. But I don't say thank you, Lydia. Abdul, let's go to Abdul. I'll come back to you at the end. But Abdul, you're formerly Sechkubo's Gango, and as his lawyer, maybe kept him in the other parliament before, still under NRM. And when he moans that his censure has been deliberately sabotaged, does he have a point?
First of all, I repeat what I said when this whole process.
That's why we're not going into the substance.
Yeah, the substance of it. So you'll excuse me and the audience that I'll not go into the substance by virtue of the responsibility I have in regard to misbehavior of members of parliament. But I can say one thing, that in parliament, and I have a little bit of short experience there.
In gone?
No, on the 23rd.
On your microphone is on.
When a process like that starts, you'll have those who don't agree with the process. So you have to compete with them. You can't say that if I start a process like this, everybody will be supportive. There will be a group that will not support that process, and the one that will not support that process would want it to fail at that level. So it is your responsibility to market what you have, and it's the responsibility of the other group that doesn't agree to fail it. So that's a normal parliamentary process, because you cannot. It's very rare that you have consensus, that you start a process and it is 100% supported by every member of the House. So I don't find that as new, but as I said, let's wait and see what happens.
Of course, but thank you.